The Crumb TV dossier, the Banu Nasak, and the origins of the intelligence agencies. Before there was a CIA, before the Mossad, or India's R&Aw, there was the Banu Nasak, literally translated from Hebrew meaning sons of eternity or victory. The Nasak were not a nation, nor were they bound to any single flag. They were an elite, insular, juicy bloodline of generational intelligence architects, mathematicians, and master manipulators who viewed the map of the global Cold War as a drafting board. Recognizing that modern warfare could be fought in the shadows of the mind, technology, and deniable operations, they quietly placed their most brilliant minds at the foundational roots of the world's most ruthless intelligence agencies. They didn't just serve these agencies, they engineered them, operating as a secret keystone that allowed three entirely different countries to share a single, synchronized playbook from the shadows. Chapter 1: The Mossad's Phantom Mother, 1948 to 1953. The legacy began in the crucible of Israel's birth. Abraham, the patriarch of the family's modern era, possessed a brilliant mind for statecraft, but his daughter, Mariam, was his true heir. In 1948, as the young state fought for its survival, Mariam designed Mossad's Bureau of Arrangements, a ghost department operating completely off the books. It was Mariam who established the cold, pragmatic, by any means necessary doctrine that would come to define Israeli intelligence. Her crowning innovation was the concept of the suspended agent, deep cover operatives planted in foreign nations designed to lie dormant for decades, waiting for the perfect tectonic moment to strike. However, her success became her curse. As the Mossad matured and sought international legitimacy, Mariam's rogue, merciless, and deeply unsanctioned methods became a liability and an embarrassment to the changing regime. In 1953, she was abruptly and forcibly retired. To ensure her methods never came to light, all physical records of her department were systematically incinerated. Chapter 2: The CIA's Ideological Hacker, 1954 to 1971. While Miriam constructed the architecture of human intelligence in the Middle East, her brother, David, saw a much bigger global game. Crossing the Atlantic in the 1950s, David approached a burgeoning American intelligence apparatus. He sold his family's highly advanced psychological profiling systems to the Central Intelligence Agency, rebranding their generational secrets from the high stakes theater of the Cold War. David wasn't content with just predicting enemy movements. He designed the very cognitive frameworks utilized in MK Ultra's behavioral experiments and engineered the psychological blueprints for orchestrating the infamous coups in Iran and Guatemala. He became the ultimate defense contractor, a literal ghost hidden inside the CIA's analytic machine. Yet, David possessed the family's innate paranoia. Knowing the nature of the monster he worked with, he kept a meticulous copy of every file, report, and blueprint ever touched. This hidden personal archive became the Banu Nasak family's ultimate insurance policy. Chapter 3: Project Rustum, Planting a Spy Master in Asia, 1968 through 1979. The third pillar of the family's global network was established by Eliasar, the most dangerous scion of the Banu Nasak bloodline. Disillusioned with what he saw as the moral decay and shifting allegiance of the West, Eliasar traveled to a newly independent India in the 1960s. Operating under the enigmatic codename The Lotus, he rose swiftly through the shadows to become the chief architect of the Research and Analysis Wings, or R&Aw, External Intelligence Wing. Eliasar's signature masterstroke was the invention of narrative warfare. Rather than relying merely on bullets and wiretaps, he wove complex intelligence operations directly into the fabric of Bollywood, elite academia, and diaspora politics. Through these cultural levers, he quietly built India's capability to counter the regional giants, China and Pakistan, from the shadows, effectively creating a massive, modern spy agency in his own family's immoral, brilliant image. Chapter 4: One Bloodline, Three Agencies, A Fatal Flaw, 1975 to 1979. For decades, the global intelligence balance was quietly maintained because the Banu Nasak were the secret connective tissue between three superpowers. Each agency brought a specific weapon to the table. Mossad had ruthlessness, the CIA had immense scale, and R&AW had absolute deniability. Because the three siblings shared a singular, family inherited playbook, they gave their respective agencies an uncanny, perfectly synchronized edge during the tensest years of the Cold War. But this perfection hid a fatal flaw. By being the puppet master of all three apparatuses, the family created a single point of failure. The Banu Nasak knew everything, every secret, every coup, every assassination. And that absolute knowledge ultimately made them the single greatest threat to every creation they had brought to life. Chapter 5: 1979, the year they vanished. The catalyst for their undoing was the outbreak of the Soviet Afghan War in 1979. To combat the Soviet invasion, the Mossad, the CIA, and R&AW desperately needed to coordinate an immense, covert, and highly complex joint Mujahideen supply line. Given their unique positions, the Banu Nasak were the natural facilitators to bridge the three agencies. But the family miscalculated. Sensing their absolute leverage, they demanded a price for their cooperation, official public acknowledgement of their legacy, and a sovereign safe haven to call their own. This was the ultimate sin, blackmailing the very creators of global espionage. In response, a silent, historic, tripartite agreement was struck between Washington, Tel Aviv, and New Delhi. The mandate was not to grant the family's steep demands, but to permanently, ruthlessly sever the thread. Chapter 6: The Erasure. The retribution was swift, clinical, and total. Within a mere 18 months, the core of the Banu Nasak family was completely wiped from the earth, masked behind a series of tragic, unrelated events. Eliasar died in a violent monsoonal car crash in Goa in 1981. David's private plane mysteriously fell from the sky, crashing deep in the Alps. Mariam was forcefully committed to a high security psychiatric facility in Tel Aviv, where falsified records were entered to show she had never existed. Their homes were burned to the ground. Their digital and physical archives vanished overnight. Extended family members were left with a stark choice: accept lucrative financial settlements for their lifelong silence, or meet with their own bout of unfortunate luck. It wasn't a standard series of assassinations. It was a complete institutional sanitization, a joint operation by the CIA, Mossad, and R&AW to erase their founding sin. Epilogue: The Aftermath. They almost succeeded, but they missed one. A single grandchild survived the purge. A young girl named Daniela was quietly smuggled away and hidden from the world by a sympathetic, guilt ridden Mossad handler. From her family's ruin, Daniela inherited the ultimate inheritance, the last physical key to a heavily fortified Swiss security deposit box. Inside that box lies David's fabled insurance archive. It contains the original, unredacted blueprints of modern espionage, every dirty operation, every historic double cross, and every single non official cover agent planted by the trio across the globe. It is not just a collection of historical secrets, it's an active detonator aimed directly at the institutional legitimacy of three global intelligence giants. Today, holding the key to the vault, Daniela possesses one final terrifying question to the world: do you want the truth?